My sisters and brothers, I have a direct message to deliver on behalf of all of you to Mr. Netanyahu. It is critical that every one of you listens with care. Mr. Netanyahu, when the phone rang and your voice came through, I understood what it carried before a single word was spoken by you. That tone, I have heard it before. The tone of those who are convinced they hold the keys to the future. The tone of those who believe a handshake can purchase a soul. The tone of those who picture Africa still kneeling at their tables, waiting for crumbs to fall. You spoke with the smoothness of a man who has performed this many times. A man skilled in dressing chains in velvet and naming them opportunities. You expressed a desire for cooperation. You spoke of wanting to strengthen ties. You talked of friendship, of partnership, of development. And then, like all the others who came before you, you laid out your offers. Offers that shine brightly on the surface, but inside are rotten like dead wood. You said gold. You said oil. You said wealth beyond all measure. If only we would open our doors. If only we would let you in. If only we allow your hand to shape the very soil beneath our feet. You spoke of investment, of technology, of roads and towers and cities that shine, as if these are songs Africa has not heard before. But Mr. Netanyahu, let me tell you now with clarity and without any hesitation, my answer is no 1,000 times. No to your deals for gold. No to your promises of oil. No to your traps of investment. Burkina Faso is not for sale. Africa is not for sale. Not to you. Not to anyone. Do you believe we are blind? Do you believe we cannot see the pattern? For centuries, men have arrived on this continent wearing smiles and carrying gifts. They named themselves friends. They named themselves saviors. But behind every smile was a dagger. Behind every gift was a trap. They spoke of civilization while they stole our land. They spoke of progress while they chained our fathers and raped our mothers. They spoke of education while they poisoned our minds, teaching us to hate ourselves, to despise our languages, to spit on our culture and kneel before theirs. They handed us mirrors to admire our broken faces while they carried away mountains of gold from beneath our feet. They gave us flags and called it independence while their hands stayed in our pockets and their boots pressed on our necks. They gave us Bibles, not for the saving of our souls, but to lull us into silence as they carved up our soil and sold our blood for profit. They gave us aid, yes, but their aid was like a chain dipped in honey, sweet at first, until it tightened around our throats. They drained our rivers of life to water their gardens. They cut down our forests to build their ships. They plundered our minds to light their palaces. They left us empty-handed and then named us lazy. They called us savages as they bled us dry. They wrote books about our weakness while they grew fat on our strength. They told the world we were backward while they moved forward on the broken backs of our ancestors. And now, in this century, they come again. They no longer carry chains made of iron. They bring chains of debt, polished and smiling, presented in the name of development. They no longer crack the whip. They sign contracts that enslave our economies for generations. They no longer arrive with armies. They arrive with bankers, with lawyers, with terms and conditions thicker than any wall, designed to trap us in a cage we cannot see. They come with their corporations, with their billion-dollar deals, with their aid packages tied in red ribbons and blood-soaked fine print. And the result, Mr. Netanyahu, is the same. Africa remains poor while others grow fat on her wealth. They take our oil and sell us fuel. They take our cocoa and sell us chocolate. They take our cotton and sell us clothes. They take our diamonds and sell us dreams. They take our uranium and sell us electricity. They take everything, everything that God gave us, everything that belongs to our children, and they leave us with nothing but slogans and speeches that are empty. And then they dare to tell us that the problem is Africa, that we are corrupt, that we are weak, that we cannot govern ourselves. No, Mr. Netanyahu, we see the game. We see it as clearly as the sun rises over the Sahel. We see the hands that pull the strings. We see the smiles that hide the knives. We see the treaties dressed as gifts and the loans dressed as blessings. We are not blind anymore. Those days are finished. We have paid for our blindness with blood, with centuries of chains, with the bones of our ancestors buried beneath this soil. And now our eyes are open, and what we see we will never unsee. And you, Mr. Netanyahu, you come to me now with the same language, the same promises, the same seduction that has broken nations and buried leaders in the dust of history. Your words drip with honey, but they hide the venom of control. You offer gold, but whose gold, Mr. Netanyahu? Ours. Gold pulled from the veins of our earth by the blood and sweat of our people. Gold that carries the songs of our ancestors. Gold that belongs to the children yet unborn. And yet you offer it as if it were yours to give. As if we are too blind to know the value of what God placed beneath our soil. You offer oil, but whose oil? Ours. Oil that runs like black rivers beneath African soil. Oil that could light every home from Ouagadougou to Cape Town. And yet you come speaking as if it were your gift. As if our salvation lies in your hands. As if we are too weak to lift the lid from the well of our own blessings. You do not offer what is yours. You offer what you plan to steal. You speak of investment. But at what cost? At the cost of our land, our sovereignty, our soul. At the cost of laws written not in our parliaments, but in your boardrooms. At the cost of futures mortgaged to pay for your ambitions. You call it partnership, but the contract is written in chains. You call it opportunity, but it smells of servitude. And we have worn those chains before, Mr. Netanyahu. We know their weight, even when they are polished to shine like silver. You want to own the veins of our earth and the breath of our children. You want to bury your hands deep into the belly of Africa and pull out her heart, leaving behind a hollow shell. You want to plant your flags where only our ancestors have walked barefoot and free, claiming sacred soil with signatures written in ink and greed. You want to turn our land into a treasure chest for your empire, a vault to store your wealth while our people die with empty bowls, their bellies aching with hunger in a land overflowing with abundance. No, Mr. Netanyahu, that door is closed forever, sealed with the blood of those who refuse to kneel, locked by the hands of a generation that has woken from centuries of sleep. We are not the Africa of yesterday, the Africa that smiled while you carved her like a feast. The Africa that bled while you toasted to progress. The Africa that waited for salvation at the feet of those who chained her. That Africa is dead, and in its place stands a continent with eyes of fire and a spine of steel. So keep your offers. Keep your promises. We do not want them, and we do not need them. We will write our own story, mine our own gold, refine our own oil, build our own nations, and feed our own people. And we will do it without your hand, without your permission, without your chains. Because freedom, Mr. Netanyahu, is not something you give, it is something we take. And Africa has taken it back. You spoke of friendship, but friendship does not come with conditions. Friendship does not demand our resources as a dowry. Friendship does not ask a man to sell his birthright for a smile. What you call friendship, we call exploitation. What you call investment, we call an invasion in a suit. And let me tell you this. We will not dress slavery in the clothes of partnership and pretend it is freedom. We know the difference now. We have learned through centuries of blood and betrayal. And those lessons will not be forgotten as long as there is breath in our lungs and fire in our hearts. You promise development as if development can be bought like a sack of grain. Development is not a gift. It is a seed. And seeds grow only when the soil is a vision for Africa's self-growth and independence. Free. When the farmer is the owner of his own land. When the rain falls without a debt. Attached to every single drop, we have no need. For your seed, Mr. Netanyahu, our own, is enough. And we ourselves will plant it. With sweat we will water it. If we must. With blood we will guard it. And we will. Watch it grow into a tree of freedom. With roots running deep in African soil and branches that shelter generations yet to be born. You told me, Mr. Netanyahu, that the world is competitive, that the path to survival is through alliances, that no nation can stand completely alone. You said that the strong survive by joining hands, by bending to the currents of global power. But let me tell you this, in dignity, I would rather stand alone than march in chains among the powerful. I would rather eat a single piece of bread in freedom than dine at a golden table in a state of bondage. You speak of alliances, but history has taught us the meaning of your alliances. They are not true partnerships. They are leashes. They are not bridges. They are traps. With every handshake comes a price. A ledger hides behind every smile. Every promise is an invoice that is waiting to be delivered. And when the time for payment comes, it is not your people who bleed. It is ours. So no, Mr. Netanyahu, I will not march in chains, no matter how heavy your crown of gold may be. I will not trade the soul of my nation for a seat at your table, because that seat is poisoned, and we have drunk enough poison for 1,000 lifetimes. You tell me no nation can stand alone, but I tell you this, better to stand alone in the storm than to seek shelter in a house built upon our own bones. Better to walk the hard road alone than to ride in comfort to a destination that ends in slavery. I would rather build slowly with my own hands than construct palaces with borrowed gold that turn to dust when the lender comes knocking. Because he will come, Mr. Netanyahu, he always comes. And when he does, he will not knock softly. The doors of sovereignty he will kick down. The walls of dignity he will strip. He will take everything, including the very air in our lungs. And that is a price we will never pay again. We will grow, Mr. Netanyahu. Make no mistake, we will grow. Do not confuse our refusal for weakness, nor our patience for ignorance. We know the cost of shortcuts. We know the pain of easy roads that lead only to destruction. So, we will choose the hard path, the path paved with sweat, sacrifice, and the strength of our people. It may be slower. It may be harder. It may demand more of us than we ever thought possible, but it will be ours. And what is ours cannot be stolen. What is ours cannot be bargained away in some foreign capital. What is ours cannot be mortgaged to feed the greed of empires. Our future will be born from African hands, carved by African will, guarded by African blood. And when the world sees what we have built, they will understand our refusal of your gold, your oil, your investments. Because the price of your friendship was the death of our freedom.